forum, and then we go into a presentation. But since we don't have any presentation, it's just going to be one big, massive open forum, I guess, and open topics for tonight. That being said, who'd like to open up the floor with the first question of the evening? Don't let me fall over from being tired. Okay, well, we know that Tom O'Connor is interested in shopping for drones, and that was a good topic that we went through prior to this. Anyone else have any interesting topics they'd like to bring up besides Tom Soltis, who brought up the fact he's getting unsolicited messages today to make sure telling him to watch the State of the Union? Unusual, and he didn't know where they was coming from.
I get a lot of unsolicited messages about Medicare and whatnot, and of course, if I check, the number, it's a unused number or been disconnected, and I'm getting so sick and tired of all these calls from these spoofed numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
one thing that I do is I don't answer the phone. I let it ring, and if they leave a message, then I'll call back. Otherwise, I just let it go.
I hit mine so it goes to voicemail.
And my Comcast landline has what is it? Normal Robo. It's a built-in feature.
Okay.
Well, I had to activate it, but it's free.
And wait, sorry, Bob Baxter?
Yeah.
Yes. This is Bob.
Yeah, you had your hand up.
Yes. So my question is.
Oh, a question. Okay.
Yes, if that's all right. So
different topic.
I have an old Surface machine, and I've gotten very involved in using screen prints. I find they're very helpful. But it was putting the screen print on one of my cloud drives. How do I control where it puts screen print? On other machines, it puts it on the C drive under.
Are you still running Windows 11?
10.
That's where your problem's at.
No.
During the setup process, it will give you a sneaky little screen that says, do you want to put this stuff up on the cloud? Basically speaking, anything that would go into your documents folder, your pictures, music, and I think video will also be copied automatically to OneDrive. And you can turn that off, but it may not be a smooth sale. So basically what it's doing is when you want to do a screen print, instead of it putting it into your local pictures folder, it puts it on OneDrive in the pictures folder. I know I've run into this same problem on a couple of my machines before I realized what was going on. And what they're doing is they're using your OneCloud account to be able to kind of back up your stuff so that if you suddenly lose your system, a good portion, if not everything in these document type folders is going to be backed up on OneDrive. When you bring back your system and log into your Microsoft account, it'll say, oh, you don't have these down your local drive, and it may put them down there, or you have to check them off and force a local copy.
So if I'm doing this, I have more than one of these, I think they're like version 4 Surface machines. I got them for $30 at a school auction. But they work. They don't have huge hard drives, so it's good that it's putting them out in the cloud. So will 2 or 3 machines using the same Microsoft ID put them on the same cloud?
It should, but okay. I ain't going to guarantee it.
I understand.
You can, on every Microsoft account, attach up to 10 machines that it remembers. But I've gone past 10 on some of my accounts. They still do the connectivity, but they'll give you a reminder, you got a problem on your account to take care of, and it's because you exceed the 10.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I like that question. That was a good question. So where did you manage to find a school auction that had all these Surface Pros?
Our next door neighbor school district, our backyard is in the other school district. We're in the Bellevue School District, and this is in the Issaquah School District. Everybody knows all those names, right?
Of course.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we used to be in the Issaquah District, and through our club, we have some people who have been connected, and they let us know when the auction's going on.
And so what's the version or age of these Surface units?
I think they're version 4. They'll never go to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm looking at Linux for some of them.
Okay. And you got them for $30.
Maybe 35, but I think it was 30.
That's still incredibly. That was like 10.
That's right.
They
Yeah.
don't have a lot of
value.
They don't have a lot of built-in storage, so Linux is a better choice than Windows ever would be.
Mm-hmm. Has anyone tried to put Linux on to a Surface Pro?
I haven't yet, but I haven't touched my Surface Pro in a long time. I don't even know if they work still. I have a Surface Pro 3 and a 4, and I just kind of got away from them a long time ago. I still got them, but if I remember correctly, the last time I played with them, the detachable keyboard I was having problems with. And I think they do wear out. I don't know if they contain a battery in them or not. If so, they're not designed to be maintainable, meaning you're going to replace the battery. But I could be wrong about that.
I know mine runs without being plugged in, so it's got to have a battery of some sort.
Well, there's a Surface Pro. That's the tablet with a detachable keyboard. And there's the Surface, and the Surface is a laptop style.
So I've never tried to take the keyboard off of this, but it's not hardwired in there. I don't think. I don't know. I haven't had.
I don't think the Surface you can take it off, but with a Surface Pro, it looks like a Android or iPad type tablet with a detachable keyboard.
Now, there is an issue with putting Linux onto the Surface. It has a kind of a weird boot setup, and their BIOS is set up in a weird way, and it's not very straightforward how you get started actually installing Linux. Once you install it, it'll run.
Yeah, I found there's several articles out there on how to do it. And you see the feed that I have in front of us on discussing that. So it is possible. Long answer ahead. Let's see. This one, now granted, this particular group, us, we're not the Linux authority here. I would recommend, Mr. Baxter, that you go and join Tim's Linux SIG if you don't already. And please, and bring that topic up there. Maybe you guys could do this as an exercise. I don't know.
But I do attend that when I can. In about an hour, I'll be attending the our own Linux SIG.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. So
yeah, the Surface Pro does appear to have the detachable keyboard.
I always thought it did. So there is some pros and cons. You'll want to read up on it and see if you get through what you want. But I think maybe next meeting you could let us know how this worked for you.
Yeah, my sister did try to convert a Microsoft Surface. I think it was the version 3, and it turned out it was kind of difficult to get to a point where Linux would boot consistently on that device.
Mm-hmm.
There was something a little weird about the boot setup. But once you get it up and running, it should be all right.
Well, I'm excited to hear how this goes.
I have a question, and it can dovetail with several of the problems that have already been discussed, including Tom O'Connor's. How many of you have used AI for troubleshooting?
I have not.
I have a Wi-Fi problem with a dedicated Linux machine. It's one of these 7-inch mini micros. And at first I couldn't figure out why it wasn't recognizing the drive. And I normally use my own research on like Google or something like that. Well, I finally decided to try AI, and I used CoPilot with precision responses. And one of them that came up was check the BIOS. Well, I always go through the BIOS, and I even upgrade the BIOS. And I went in. I spent 20 to 30 minutes going over and over every one of the category settings. Finally, I spotted a grayed out section not related to M.2 storage, which I have on it, but it was an M.2 WLAN and Bluetooth, and it was not checked. Put a check mark in. Now the device is recognized. Now my problem is getting the driver properly installed and getting it recognized so I can use Wi-Fi as well as my Ethernet. And it's the only one of 5 of these little minis that I'm having a problem with. A couple of them with Windows 11, zero problem. A couple Dell Optiplex, no problem. But this Linux, and from what I can gather in the research, there are a lot of problems with Wi-Fi and Linux Mint 21 series.
So, Tim, can you kind of walk us through? You use some words in what you said, the AI app that you use. Can you show us what you did?
I gotta stop and think a minute. I would have to log in.
CoPilot.
I would have
CoPilot. Da.
Hang loose for a minute. A couple minutes. Go ahead with something else.
Okay, and we'll circle back to this. AI is a good subject matter to talk with, and we could bring this up almost at every meeting. I did educate some of my poll workers, the people I was working with at the election, on how to use like ChatGBT, and it only took me a few moments to show them the benefits of it, and the next day they told me both of them went home and loaded it on their machines and were playing with it at home. They were so impressed with ChatGBT, specifically because these people are like copywriters, or in other words, they write stuff for people and for things, and they found it tremendously valuable to them, and they grasp it right away. Now, mind you, this is an older couple, who really don't like to do a lot of stuff on their computers, it seems, but they went home and did it right away. So I don't know, has anyone here not played with like ChatGBT and they want to see how it works? We could go through that kind of quick. Okay.
I've used the Microsoft Edge thing that's got the AI built in.
Okay.
And of course, it's up to date, where the ChatGPT is only good back to, like, I think up to maybe 2023 now.
Right. I think they're at 3.5 right now for their model. It all depends what you're looking for it to do. You know, do you need something that's going to be more or less connected to the internet to go out to the internet to find the answers, or is it something that could be done within the confines of like ChatGPT? Like I said, they were the writers, so in their case, being connected to the internet didn't matter. It's a matter of writing the story. I think the illustration that he did was something like going to Easter Island and tell me the things that I should go and see. And they had been to Easter Island. And when he was reading through how it wrote it and the places it said to go see, his mind was just like, I've been there, I've seen all this stuff, it's amazing. And it put it so eloquently for them in such a way that they really thought they were just blown away. So, for what that's worth.
It's often stuff I'm looking for elsewhere.
Tom, have you played around with ChatGPT? Soltis.
Well, I have, but not very
No,
much.
I haven't. No.
Oh, Tom Soltis is
I
not.
mean, I've used the Edge thing a couple of times.
Okay.
Nothing elaborate or anything.
Because if
More
I
or less
recall
just to see what it would say.
you work on a website for your ship from the Army, from the Navy, right?
Right.
Do you write copy for it and like constantly change it, or it's said and done?
No, I have people that send me stories or photographs, and I just load it.
Okay.
But I don't actually write anything out.
Okay.
I mean, it would take me forever to type it. You know, cut and paste.
Sure. Terry, it's good to see you. Terry Moy. Can't hear you. You're muted. Well.
I'm going to bug out at 8 o'clock when Biden's speech comes on. So.
Okay. All right. Tim, do you have that pulled up yet, or are you still playing?
Well, I wasn't ready for it, so that's part of the problem. Okay. You should be getting a request. All right.
Another Tim.
Well, that was the name I was given to begin with. I had to load in a Zoom client, which I
think it looks like you're trying to stuff the ballot box here. You know, we got three Tims here. This is you're not in Chicago where you can vote early and vote often.
Come on.
And even if you're dead, you can vote.
Here.
There we go.
No, we're not.
No apps open, available.
Cancel that.
That means he doesn't have any Wi-Fi.
No, that has nothing to do with it. I'm on Ethernet anyhow. That's my main.
So your software updater just doesn't know how to connect.
Well, I didn't know how because Linux wasn't installed. I mean, Zoom wasn't installed. Excuse me.
Oh.
I got to find where I got the... Oh. I bet you I know where. I got to look for a specific article. Open. And there you are. Okay. This, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Offhand, this was my first question right here. And it came back with these suggestions, and I went through all of them. This one here in number 1 says load in this alternative to Network Manager that has a bug in it. And I can't find it so far, but I'm not that worried about it. The second one didn't show up either. I found out later that some of the stuff that they were suggesting go through the terminal are in the software manager. And that I had to figure out on my own. Since I wasn't getting anywhere until I think it's system settings. Okay, number 5 here. I decided, what the heck, the first 4 didn't work, so I went to number 5. I shut down the system, rebooted, got into the settings. After 20-30 minutes, I found the setting that wasn't set. I thought it was an automatic thing. It wasn't. And now the device itself is recognized, but I still had a problem. So this was my second question. And I refined it a little bit and got more feedback. And I just, every time it gave me took the question, I did highlight it, I copied it, pasted it into I'll call it a mini word processor like WordPad is on Windows. And then I would highlight the answers, copy it into the same document, because if you start doing things, you can't read what CoPilot has. Whereas if I've got a saved document, I can go back to it as much as I want to, and it's much, much easier to do. Sometimes I can have this document open and a command terminal, and as I read the command down here, I'm typing it in up here. Makes it much, much simpler to deal with. And I've done this same basic thing with the Windows system. So it's nothing unique. And okay. And then I asked it again, and I had to put in at the end, I just thought of it, I got to tell it Linux Mint, because if you don't, it may presume you're on Windows. After all, Microsoft normally runs on Windows, but their browser can work on any platform. It's cross-platform. And I got more answers, but I'm still stuck. And I went through much of this. I spent most of the day just trying to get this to work. So it's something to consider. This is something I'll bring up at the Linux group meeting as well, since this is all on Linux. And it's basically troubleshooting the stuff that I have out there for Linux.
Okay, but go back to what I really wanted to know is you brought up you use CoPilot.
Yeah.
And you use CoPilot Advanced, or you called it something else?
Oh, no. Here we go. Precision. I've got loaded, okay. And this is a no-no for Linux purists. I have Chrome and Edge loaded in, and since I have Edge, I have CoPilot here, and CoPilot loads up right there. You have creative. That means it hallucinates a lot in creating something you want, like a story, if you want a story for, say, a child or something like that. balanced is normal, and the other option is precision. Well, most of the stuff that I do with computer research, I always ask for precision. It'll have the least amount of hallucination and usually come back with solid information.
All right, and that's built right into Edge.
Well, Edge on anything, 10, 11, Mac, if you load it in there, any version of Linux that'll take Edge, at least all the Debian base, which is Ubuntu, Mint, Robo Linux, MX Linux, and a bunch of others. But now when you get into the RPMs, like Fedora, OpenSUSE, and Arch Linuxes, you may or may not be able to get it to load in.
So the upshot of this is Bing CoPilot, Bing Search CoPilot, has 3 modes. They call them conversational modes. Another term for that is the temperature of your prompt. If you want it to be more precise, you set it at a certain temperature. If you want it to be less precise, it's a different prompt temperature. And that's basically what it's doing. It's acting sort of as it's setting where the guardrails are, where the guides are.
Uh-huh.
So in that precise mode, you're not going to let it just take a wild guess.
So for those of us in this group that have never used something like ChatGBT or OpenAI or anything along that line, this is an easy way for them to implement it. Just going to that icon in the upper right in Edge brings up the dialog box to start their AI interaction. Real easy to do.
Now here's the thing.
Yes.
Microsoft is depreciating the troubleshooters that are built into Windows, which means they're going to go bye-bye. And you've got to figure out ways of doing it. Right now, in 11, they basically want you to let them come in to your system to do the diagnostics of a problem you're trying to solve. This is an alternative. You can sit here with any kind of an AI program, practically speaking. I would say, from what I'm hearing, CoPilot is very good, very accurate in giving you what you're looking for. Another one would be Google Gemini. Those two in particular, if you got a computer problem, it all depends upon how you word it. And you've got to specify your operating system. You got to specify at least the make and model of the machine. And you may have to describe more about what the problem is so that it can narrow things down to a point where you can take the answers and start trying the stuff out. But the main thing is copying your question, copying the answer into basically a limited Word document file. I'm using on Linux here AbiWord, and it's very similar to WordPad in Windows. By copying it in there and doing a save so that it's physically there on your system, you can open that up and refer back to that as often as you want to. And a lot of things do require a command line terminal to be able to do the debugging. Not all, but quite often. And especially in Linux. And the fact that the troubleshooters that have been built into Windows are going to go away. What are you going to do? You're going to have to do whatever an AI tells you to do. And even if it's not you doing the AI questions, say you're getting help from somebody else, guess what? They're going to be wanting the remote into your system, and they're going to be doing the command line stuff.
Tim, are you done sharing your screen?
Yep.
Okay. Good topic. Anyone else want to continue on this? Using AI for debugging. Didn't think about that one earlier today. When I was working, my wife sent me a screenshot to tell me that her laptop, that's only 3 months old, decided to boot up and say, we need your BitLocker key. I never set up BitLocker on this thing. It came from stock from the company.
That's right. A lot of them do.
Right, a lot, which my Lenovo that I'm here today has the same thing. It came with BitLocker automatically installed on it. And because it was asking me for the key, it's like, oh, great. How am I going to figure this out? So what I did is it does tell you if you don't know the key, we can help you try to find the key. What you need to do is log into your Microsoft account. Now that brings up a whole nother question. My wife, did you set up a Microsoft account? And she's like, no, you set up my computer. Did you set up a Microsoft account? So she's pointing the finger back at me, and I had to go get the book that we keep all of our her passwords and stuff in. And you know, we all got a black book someplace, if you will, or blue or green or purple, or a piece of paper with Post-it notes on it, whatever it's going to be. Or it's in some virtual space, whichever. So anyways, I referenced that and was able to log into the Microsoft account through a lot of different things and got in. And sure enough, was able to find this key that is, I don't know, what's it like?
25 characters long. 25 characters long.
It is incredibly long. It's just, what is it, like 10, like 20 groups of 6, you know, 6 numbers or something. It's just long, and you have to type it all in. But when I did that and rebooted, everything worked just fine.
Well, there is a way of putting that on a thumb drive, and you can feed the file when it asks for it, and you're done.
Which is why I created a recovery thumb drive today. Right after I finished that process, I went and did this, because that would have been a way to get around that problem.
That's right.
But what I didn't understand is, why did this machine suddenly say that it needed the BitLocker key out of the blue? You know, what happened?
It could be a Microsoft update like Tom was talking about. And a lot of times those can trigger the fact that BitLocker is blocking things. And so certain operations that I do, and you do some of the stuff too, and Bob Premick, Bob Baxter, I know are other people that would do a lot of things. You have to think ahead and say, oh, I got BitLocker, I got to turn that off first, then I'll do this. Now I can have the option of turning it back on. On several machines that I had in the past, this was 10 days, not 11. And bottom line is, I turned it off, and I have left it off, those machines, because it's too much of a nuisance for me as a tech. I play around with the systems too much.
Okay, so you did hit on an extremely valid point. Something happened that triggered this event, and that's what I was trying to figure out. What was it? And what it was once I was able to get back in the system and reboot it, the first screen that I saw was from wonderful McKaffe. And McKaffe said, your trial period has ended.
And so did you.
And so did I. And so that is precisely what triggered this event, at least in my mind. So I quickly downloaded Revo Uninstaller and uninstalled McKaffe's.
You really should.
I already did it.
You really should have used.
Wait.
McKaffe
Too many
Removal
people
Tool.
talking. Bob, Primac, go. Bob. You
What?
want to repeat what you were saying?
You really should have downloaded and used the McKaffe Removal Tool specific to that product in safe mode.
Absolutely. Because McKaffe is well known along with Norton. If you don't use their removal tool, you commit hara-kiri because it leaves files behind and may prevent you from putting in another AV package.
Okay. Well, I guess I made a terrible terminal.
You can try getting the download tool if you can guess the specific product that was on there, and then it might get rid of those extra files. You cannot find or get rid of them manually.
Well,
anyway.
I think there is also a tool, or there are tools available that are written specifically to ferret out and remove the McKaffe traces.
See,
the McKaffe company would have to be the place where you go for it, though.
okay. Well, this was a departure from the norm for me, and I was following my assumptions of normality that would be the proper process. Well, I made the mistake and I've already done it. But Revo Uninstaller was usually the course of action that I would go to remove software that I didn't want on a system, because it will remove a lot of the extraneous junk that's in the registry and other places. I hope I did it right. I will find out later on if I did it wrong.
Well, I think if you go to the McKaffe site, they may have a removal tool that you can just download, and it'll get rid of everything they know about.
Okay.
Let's see if there is a McKaffe removal tool.
Yeah, I think when I tried to do that, just with the Microsoft thing to get rid of it, I think it came up. McKaffe said, "Well, you need their tools." So I went out and got those.
And I did not get that message.
This general topic, I guarantee you, has been around for at least 2 decades.
I know McKaffe is just a pain in the backside.
Yes, but Norton can be just as bad. Same reason.
I went over to Major Geeks because that was what came up in Google for this, and there, in chat. That seems to be up to date. And you can just download that tool and see if it works.
Okay.
All you got to do is pry that computer out of your wife's hands.
That's easily done.
And it'll remove about a half a dozen of their stuff.
Okay.
You can add Juno to the list too, because Juno's been sending out a bunch of stuff too from one computer I've got.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, the McKaffe could have tripped the trigger. There was a recent update to Windows 10 and 11, which rewrote the recovery partition. And that update, when it ran, could also trip the trigger on BitLocker.
Oh, I guarantee it will, because it has to try and resize the recovery partition to make it larger. I think 500 megabytes was the original size, and you now need at least 800 megabytes or better. But the way the partitions are structured, that requires moving other partitions to make new space, or they've got to delete the old partition, find a new chunk of 800 or more megabytes of space available on your drive, and create a new partition there to load in the new tools. and they are specifically due to a vulnerability in BitLocker.
There are a couple of things that can happen. That update can fail to install, and it may show an error message.
Right.
This is especially in Windows 10.
Yes.
In Windows 11, it's part of a cumulative update. You could be in some serious trouble if that update won't install. But if it does what it's supposed to, it can steal a little bit from the tail end of your Windows C partition to add to the recovery partition. The other thing it can do, the recovery partition usually follows the Windows system partition on the drive. Hello. It usually comes after the Windows partition, so it can steal a little space from the tail end of the Windows partition if it's available.
So I'm not tracking. What program wants to expand the recovery partition?
It is a Windows update.
Windows update. It's I think KB 5034441, and that one will fail on 10. Period. But that particular fix doesn't know how to steal the size from the C drive to expand the size of the recovery partition. And somebody figured out a script, but as yet I have not seen a new revision of 4441 fix to correctly enlarge that partition and install the new tools. And if you're not using BitLocker on your system at all, I don't think it matters. But as far as another problem occurs when it tries to execute that, it deletes all the existing tools in the recovery partition. Right. So you end up with an empty partition until they get the whole problem straightened out.
Or you can use a third-party tool if you know how, and just shrink your Windows partition a little bit, and then tack on the unused space to the recovery partition by creating a new one.
It doesn't always work. It does work sometimes, but it doesn't work all the time. I've been there, done that.
So this is a function that Microsoft is implemented or trying to do in the background in Windows 11 and 10.
Well, they do it in an cumulative update in 11, and it works. But in 10, it's not working because the people who created the 10 version didn't think things out, and it doesn't know how to resize the partition. So it empties out the existing partition, can't enlarge the new the existing partition size, and therefore it cannot install the new tools into the recovery partition.
Well, anyway, this particular laptop, this was relatively new, so it had Windows 11, did it?
You are correct.
So
we got it in December, so it's not that old.
Yeah, so it's got Windows 11. It's fairly up to date, and some of these updates just simply went through, and one or another of the updates very likely did trip the trigger and say, "Okay, you've got BitLocker."
I just checked on mine. My BitLocker's not turned on. It says it hasn't been activated.
Okay.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's being blocked. It may not have been activated, but it may not be fully disabled either.
Okay.
It can be in between on a new PC.
In a quasi state.
Yep. And that's dangerous.
Yes, it's dangerous.
The Woody website has been recommending not to block that 441 update until they come up with a fix.
Yeah. Some of their fixes have taken 12 or more years to occur.
Yeah. Blocking an update on Windows 11 is hardly even an option. On Windows 10, it's not easy. And Microsoft is getting rid of the easy tool that we were using as a troubleshooter for that. So you have to go into PowerShell. And if you go into PowerShell, yes, you can list the updates. And if it's a separate update, you can tell it, don't ever install this again. And that is a PowerShell thing. It's very geeky.
Okay, let's go on to a new subject. We kind of beat this one up, I think. Beata, what do you have? You got some questions for us. I know they're burning on the back of your head. And what is it?
No questions tonight. It's getting late.
Did you watch our last one that we did about playing games?
Yeah, I watched that one.
Was it good? Bye, Terry.
All right.
Hi, Beata. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Tax season. I'm always well.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I gotta come and see you guys once in a while. I mean, not that often, but on occasion.
Okay. We appreciate you coming in anytime you feel like. So we got no questions from Beata. Tom Soltis, do you have questions for the group? You got to have some computer problems. Things are they working great for you? Well, we can't hear you. You're muted. There you go.
I've got no issues right now. I mean, it's every time I wanted to do something, it does it.
Okay. And, then
Terry, again, I'm limited. I don't have that, big a field.
Okay. All right. Well, we were kind of hoping you'd have something to throw us a curveball and say, hey, I turned it on the other day and it said, like my wife's did. It just said, And now, Terry Moya, you did not do a tax thing for us this year. Are you going to maybe have something? And it's going to be too late in April. Terry, you're muted. Terry, you're muted. Oh, I guess Terry does it. Terry Moya, you're muted.
No, I'll do it. Most people file extensions anyway, so yeah, I'll put one together.
Most everyone's going to be done, but
there really haven't been that many changes since last year. There was.
You can wait until October.
There are some changes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can wait until October for the extenders.
Wait till after the election next year. There'll be a lot of changes.
Hey, sure. Terry, what happened with the free tax software the IRS is supposed to be giving away this year? Is that available?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
It's online.
I'm waiting for Terry. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't use it or look at it, but yeah, it is there. And they're offering free filing too.
Well, that might be a benefit. Now, how does somebody in this group get that free software?
Go to irs.gov and click on it. It's there.
And
go to their main webpage.
Who should be using that versus not using it?
Well, real simple. Like somebody on Social Security, maybe, or somebody with maybe somebody living in an apartment or whatever, in a house, just a W-2, maybe, house mortgage interest. But now this, with the standard deduction being like $25,000 on married couples, most people don't even have to bother with itemized deductions anymore. So they made it a lot easier.
So if you have a simple tax return, this is a good way to go.
Yeah, and you're going to get the standard deduction, for a married couple, like $25,000, and most people, and there's a $10,000 limit on the the real estate taxes and your withholding on your salary. So which put a lot of people below the 25,000 minimum or max.
Okay. Has anyone here tried to?
2/3 of the people don't itemize or can't because they don't own a home and maybe low income or whatever. So
Right.
All right. The boss is calling. I'll see you guys next time.
Mm-hmm. Bob Baxter, I think your hand was up.
It was. I was just going to throw in a comment. APCUG did a Wednesday workshop recently on tax that might be worth, as a member of as an organization, it's a member of APCUG. All your members have a chance to pull that up on the website.
Do you think
it's recent, but I can't find it on my calendar.
I was going to ask you if you could find the link. You could put it in the chat. But if you can't, that's okay.
I'll take another look.
Okay. And Terry dropped out. He's going to watch some TV.
I think Tim was there.
Yeah. I don't know if we got Judy Tallure's email yet on that. I'd have to go look.
Oh, that might be. Yeah.
See,
Okay.
it takes them a couple weeks after a meeting to get the video out early to the attendees, and it's 2 weeks after that before it gets up on YouTube. So it takes a whole month after a meeting before it's available to the general public.
I see. Who here uses, of this small group that we have faces here, who here uses tax software at home and not a professional to do their taxes?
I used to.
Okay, we got two. Just two of us use tax software. Okay.
Ironically, I'm using a tax person last year and this year. I'm trying to sell my house, and I'll need help when I do that. It's a big ticket item. But in order to provide them the information, I pretty well have to run TurboTax.
Mm-hmm. You think you're going to have some big capital gains and you want some deductions to lower that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Although
real estate in this area has just gone through the roof.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean the real estate value?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's good. Except everywhere else you're going to go to, it's going to go on through the roof too. Unless you're buying a mobile home. I mean,
we're in a house that's over 3,500 square feet on 3 floors, and I've been retired for 20 years. Mm-hmm. We have no kids living at home, so we don't need all that space.
Oh my God, what is that?
It's full of all the stuff we've saved, so it's a challenge.
It's like a 20-bedroom house with 16 bathrooms.
Not nearly that, but anyway.
Well, always exaggerated, but just to make a chuckle.
It's got 4, and that's enough.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot of toilets to clean. I'm telling you. Okay, so you're using it, and I do use tax software. I saw anyone else that's using it this year. Jim Freeberg, what tax software are you going to use?
I use TurboTax.
TurboTax, okay. Always have?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And I use the H&R Block one, always have. Works just fine for me through its bumps and grinds, but it gets the job done.
We also use a thing called TaxSlayer for the AARP and the VITA program that I do volunteer work with.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And where do you do that at?
Well, in the AARP thing is done at one of the Park District buildings in downtown Naperville.
Well, I'm just asking.
The program is at Loaves and Fishes.
There might be somebody here in this group that wants to go and get this done and meet you over there because they trust you, Jim. I mean, I know Bob Baxter. He's willing to drive all the way up from Missouri to have you do his taxes on this free software because it's
Seattle, Washington, please.
Oh, okay.
That's a
But it's
little.
I-90, so it's straight
Yeah.
shot, right?
Yeah, just come
Oh, you
on.
could take I-80 instead.
I still have a tax guy in Hillside, Illinois.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
We send in all the stuff, personal and trust account.
Yeah. Just shoebox it and let them go through it.
We have to do a certain amount of pre-sorting and sifting and figuring out. Once it's organized, it's really not all that much for me because I have an uncomplicated situation.
Okay. And
I mean, it's more of a hassle for me to renew my lease than it is to file the taxes.
that's not enticing over there. Okay. Oh, shall we go on a new direction? Someone else got some questions or topics they'd like us to bring up? Let's see. Harry Nelson, please give us a topic.
Haven't got one for a while.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm asking you for a topic. Could it be as simple as, I don't know, USB sticks? How to stand on one leg with a hard drive in your other hand? I got a hard drive that I'm trying to plug in and it's not working. Why is my hard drive not working? Which I have not been able to figure out. So,
You have a non-working. Sanford, you have a hard drive that when you plug it in, it doesn't fire up?
it did not, correct,
Is it an external one that plugs in by USB?
correct.
And it was not recognized, or it just didn't even hum?
It didn't even hum. And I don't, I'd see a red light on the caddy, but I
Yeah.
didn't see, the drive did come up right here. This is just
Yeah.
a caddy.
How many different kinds of lights does it have? Just the red light?
A little red light right there, and that's it.
So that's the activity
Now
light.
it's spinning. I can feel it spinning. Oh, it just recognized it. I wonder, I'm thinking my connectors here
Yeah.
are wonky. I think that's my problem, is this connector here is wonky.
You can clean
That is
connectors.
probably my problem.
You can clean connectors. You can clean ports.
Okay.
I have had USB-C that got so dirty it was a phone, and it had been in one of my various fieldwork things, and it had gotten literally clay impacted into the USB port. And so I went in there with a needle, very gingerly. Fortunately, it was not one of those tiny little lightning ports. And that knocked out a whole bunch of dirt, blew out the dirt, did the same with the connector, and lo and behold, I could charge my phone again.
Okay.
So the same thing, only a little bit bigger, is what you may be facing with that drive.
Yeah, I think it might very well be that problem right there.
Or it may be loose, as you say, in which case you may have to find some way of slightly padding it without interfering with the connections.
Yes.
So that it fits more snugly and fits at the correct point to make contact.
Okay.
The contacts could be bent.
And I would say it's all the above.
Occasionally there's a third possibility that when it's not hardware related like you're thinking there now, you have to bring up Disk Manager, and in Windows just do a Windows key X, letter X, and it'll bring up the black sub menu, and go down the list and you'll see Disk Management. You bring that up, find that drive entry, and you may find that there is no drive letter assigned, in which case you right click and you can select change the drive letter, click on the add button, and it'll give you the next available drive letter, and that solves that problem. Happens a lot.
Yeah,
I've had it recently with several flash drives that had the same basic problem.
if the drive is not being recognized, Windows will usually pop up this message saying you have to format it.
Okay.
If it's not popping up that message when you plug it in and you know you've got all the contacts made, then the drive is being recognized. It just isn't being mounted as a drive letter.
So I also see Windows must have buried their Windows 7 backup.
Windows 7 backup disappeared in Windows 11.
But it's still in 10.
Yes, but it's also being replaced with a new backup program in 10 and 11 that uses your OneDrive.
Right.
That's what they want you to use. The old one is depreciated.
Deprecated, yeah. Quite frankly, if I'm not going to use file history, I would just simply do separate data backups and system backups and use a third-party tool for the system backups.
Okay.
I've been using third-party tools for so long that I even use third-party tools for disk management because they can just do so much more.
Okay.
One other thing, since we are on the topic of backups, is APCUG this month. This is backup month, and they will have a full-blown presentation in a workshop on a Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock Central Time on backing up and various tools, ideas, etc. And that would either be next Wednesday or the fourth Wednesday that they'll do it. Third Wednesday is Linux workshop.
I've got a question on backup on Macrium Reflect that I've got on, and I've got it set up to do a full, a differential, and incremental, and it's only apparently it comes up saying on the full an error, on the differential some sort of a conflict, and then incremental an error when it tried to run.
That sounds like you got a system problem. Sometimes when I don't have the breakdown of incremental differential, I only do system backups. And if I always do the automatic verification after the backup is complete. And every once in a blue moon, I'll get a message saying that the backup failed. And in most cases, that means you have a problem on your hard drive. That's where you have to run the SFC utility with Scan Now option. And then if it finds problems, if it even says it fixed them all, I would run the DIMS tool to restore health. And then also follow up with a Chkdsk of drive C. All three of those need to be run and then try your backup again.
Well, I think I've done that in the past. I'll try it again.
There's also an option. There's also an option in Macrium Reflect that you can check off now, since it's always the paid edition now, where you not only verify the backup when it's done, you also can verify the file system before doing the backup. So Macrium Reflect will run a file system check.
That was in the free version also, but I didn't want to take the extra time for it to do the CheckNet, but I have used it a couple times in the past.
Yeah, but for this particular issue, that might offer a clue if there's a file system error.
Yeah.
And if it's not a file system error, then you probably need to do all this command line garbage with SFC Scan Now and DISM.
Yeah, let's put this way. Almost every month, most of my systems, after the Windows update, I find corruption. Don't know why.
So-
I have never figured out why. I've had this for 2 or 3 years now.
On
And-
every machine?
No, not every machine. Periodically, I have a OK month. Surprise, surprise, SFC finds nothing. But a lot of months I get the SFC finding corruption. It'll try and correct it. Most of the time it is successful on that, it says. But I've learned that if you get 2 months in a row with it fixing stuff successfully, you better do the DISM Restore Health option. And then I would also do Chkdsk, because both the SFC and the DISM Restore Health option only deal with the operating system. No other part of your drive is checked for your programs and your data files. Only Chkdsk will do that.
Yeah, you would probably want to do the long Chkdsk if you haven't done it in a long time. The one where you have to reboot.
Yeah.
That's Chkdsk R, and there are other parameters.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that on one of these things, it says task launched, and it says it's successful. But I don't know which one it is out of those 3 different things that I was trying to do.
Also, I presume that you do keep your Macrium Reflect up to date.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the other thing too, Wayne, when you're doing a full image backup, you follow it up daily with incrementals and differential backups. And then say next month you do a full image backup. When you do the full image backup again, you delete all the incremental and differential backups, because they are only add-on changes after the last full image backup.
Yeah.
And once you got a new full image backup that's verified, all that incremental and differential files are garbage.
Bob Baxter did, I wanted to inject in here, Bob Baxter did post that a link to the APCUG website to be able to find the tax workshop that was recorded on February 10th.
Okay.
And he had to leave, and I wanted to give him credit for posting that on our chat group. Okay.
Got that.
Thank you, Bob Baxter, and thank you for joining us, Bob Baxter. Sorry to. So, okay, that was. I didn't solve my problem. I think I just got a wonky hard drive cable over here. So, on to something else.
You could try a different cable.
I'm going to try a different caddy is what I'll do.
Yeah, if it's in a caddy, just replace the caddy.
Yeah, the caddy I'll probably replace. I don't believe it's the drive. I believe it's something's wonky with the caddy or the cable or something about it.
Yeah, I've had a caddy go wonky on me, and I just replaced it. Absolutely no problems. All the data was still there intact, and I just continued on from there.
And it still uses the old style USB 1?
I think you're going to want something that goes a little faster.
USB-D.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
D is for devices.
Yeah, they used to have an A, a B, and a D type.
And a C.
Well, the USB-C now is the USB-C type, which is really USB 3.2 Gen 2, I think.
Right. And now they got 4 coming out Gen 2.
Yeah. 4 Gen 2, and they're working toward 5. But I wouldn't need anything as fast as 4 Gen 2. Actually, my Thunderbolt is fast enough. It's Thunderbolt 3, and you can go up to 4.
Yeah. And Thunderbolt is what they're competing against with the new USB 4 and 5.
Exactly.
Oh,
I mean,
a question. I need to spin back to something early.
Yeah.
I was talking about I created a USB recovery stick for my wife's laptop. And I just
recovery drive.
Right, recovery drive. The question is, do I need to update this? Do I need to redo this function often, ever?
Nope. I would say at the most you have to do is maybe once a year, once every 2 years even. I've got a recovery drive here that is older than you are. And so bottom line is, generally speaking, for the tools it has on it, it does the job that you want it to do. And I had to use this recently on one of my systems, and no problem recovering my system when everything else failed.
Okay, since we're on this subject,
yeah,
what do these do? Okay, so I have a problem, a catastrophic whatever problem, and I go to boot the machine, and what's next?
Well, what happens is you'll need that when Windows won't boot.
Okay.
If you have it locked up with BitLocker, you have to take a different approach and do something else, because I don't think those recovery drives will unlock BitLocker.
Okay.
But if it isn't a BitLocker issue, what that thing does is it just simply boots, and it boots into a recovery environment. From that recovery environment, it can take some repair files and push them in. It can do some boot repair. It can do some other things.
Mm-hmm.
Basically what you're trying to do here, the objective is to get Windows to boot back into a more normal mode so that you can perform further repairs.
Okay.
If you can't repair it using a recovery drive, then you do need an up-to-date ISO, which is going to be used in what's called an over-the-top repair reinstall. And this is where you keep your data, but you basically refresh the whole system. And that usually solves all the problems, because 9 times out of 10, it's either a driver or it's a piece of software that went wonky. So that once you get all that wiped out and brought back to defaults, you usually will be okay again.
Mm-hmm.
The over-the-top, there's 2 ways of doing it. If you got a running system, you can just stick the drive, flash drive, with the current image on it into your system. Go to File Explorer to that drive, and you'll see a setup file. Double-click it, and it'll do it inside, keeping your files intact. The other way is you boot up with that ISO image on the flash drive, as though the system doesn't boot at all. But depending on what the problem is, you may be able to keep all your files, and then again, the problem may be such that it says, sorry, I'm not keeping anything, and you end up with a clean install. I'm not joking. I've had it happen to me.
Now, in order to avoid that fate of losing everything, you can use either a recovery environment of any kind, including the Macrium Reflect recovery environment, or something like Linux, and just boot into that, grab your data, and put it someplace safe. Then it doesn't matter whether you're going to be doing a clean install or not.
Take a small USB and put your BitLocker code on it and keep it with the recover.
Yes, there is a way of putting your BitLocker code into a USB stick.
So basically, like, copy and paste that onto, or type it into a Word document and put it in there.
No, you just copy the code into the flash drive as a file.
Yeah,
Right.
The code is a file.
It saves you from typing, because most people will create all kinds of typos, and that's all you need is one little character typo, and it doesn't work, and eventually the person gets frustrated and ready to throw their computer right through a brick wall.
Is there anyone in the group here that does not know what BitLocker is? Good, good. I just wanted to know if we were talking a subject.
Now, there may be a change taking place in BitLocker where instead of doing all these little codes and things, you could actually set up a PassKey, which might use a USB device itself. So that all you need to do is plug in that PassKey, and you don't need to remember anything.
Right.
So that PassKey is then going to be a physical key in the case of BitLocker. Whereas normally you can use all kinds of things like biometric, fingerprint, face, whatever. Anything Windows Hello can use. You can use a PIN.
PassKey.
But the growing use of passkeys will actually simplify the process of recovering from that kind of a situation.
Okay, new question, new direction. And I'm looking for Jim Freeberg. He's going to give me a question. Can't hear you, Jim.
Yeah, I got unmuted. So, how many people are actually using a physical passkey? Is anybody doing that?
Now, I want to clarify. What do you mean a physical passkey?
One of these USB things that you can buy that's like what you used to use way back when, and you put in the passkey and maybe a 6-digit code or something?
I guess Tim is. He's got one right there.
I've got a second one over here, too.
So what does it say on there? I can't read
That's a
it.
YubiKey. And
That's
all that is you plug it in, a little light lights up here. You touch that little gold ring, and it's done. Now, that's not a passkey, okay? It's a F2A key that you have to register with your account. PassKey is the newest thing, and there's a big push on it from everybody out there. More and more of your online accounts will offer you, like CBS as one good example, a passkey. And when you say yes to it, they generate a private and a public key. They will give you one portion, not the other portion. And it takes both portions to authenticate you when you try and go into that site. You don't need old-fashioned passwords. You don't have to use biometrics per se. It's all done with a key generated by the account. And
So where do I store that key they are giving me?
It's stored in your system, and if you have a password manager, they'll even store passkeys now.
Yeah, normally a passkey is assigned to a device.
Right.
So that device has a unique ID. And that ID
wait a minute. When you say device, do you mean PC?
Yes.
Or do you mean a USB?
Or a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop. They're all devices. A device is a device.
It's a device with a working operating system of some kind.
Computer.
It's not a USB drive.
No.
No.
Okay.
It's something that has some kind of a little brain in it. That could be your smartwatch. It could be your phone. It could be your home assistant. It could be anything that does processing of its own.
My dog has got a brain attached to it. Does that make him a passkey? Oh.
Your dog could probably become part of a passkey.
So let's say I go to my bank. I go to my bank online banking thing, and it wants to do passkey. I do this passkey setup, and I do that from my PC.
Yeah,
I come back next week and I want to access the bank from my laptop.
Mhm.
Do I go through that process again?
No.
Or is there some way to transfer from one device to another device?
You only have to go through that routine again if you have lost your a portion of the PassKey. That means you can't get in with PassKey because you got to have both pieces.
So,
And
okay.
so,
that means
at that point, you then have to re-verify who you are to prove to them, and then they'll generate a new PassKey and give you the new portion.
Now,
So
where is the
fine.
PassKey? Where is the PassKey physically stored?
That's my question. That's part of my
Your
question.
part of the PassKey.
So if when I get this PassKey, I store it in LastPass or a password manager,
Right.
then any device that I'm running that password manager on, I could use it.
Right.
Yeah, the
Okay.
password manager will enter it just as it would with a password.
Right.
Only it's far more secure.
Okay.
And Wardend is another one that'll do the same thing. Everybody's getting on board on PassKey.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason is so many people cannot figure out, A, how to make a good password, and B, they want to use a 1, 2, or 3 passwords for anything and everything.
And with
I will add, I ran into a person just the other day that does that. They only use 2 passwords for all their stuff because they don't want to be bothered. And I'm just like,
well, I mean, if a hacker figures out just one, they've got then 50% of that person's accounts. All they got to do is figure out where the account is at. They'll probably use the same username. They got the one of the passwords. They can take over the account. If it's a bank account or a financial account, they can drain the whole content. And it looks like you did it.
right.
now, if you use a password manager, you only need to remember one password. And that's all you need to know.
That's
But you
right.
better know that password.
Yeah. And you got to get used to using that password manager.
Well,
That's not too difficult to learn. It's just
Well,
another
for
habit.
you or me or most of the people here, but I've got some friends who would have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, and you're right. They would. They would. There's many people out there that can't handle it. It's,
yeah, but
different
my
levels
first,
of education.
I'm sorry, but my first question to those people, and I know some of those kind of people myself, what are you doing with any kind of computing device? That's my first question.
They may be setting it up to log in without the password.
Probably. But I mean, aside from that, what are
Or
they
they're
doing
the
with a
ones who
computer?
could
If
use
they
the
can't
one
figure
password
out how to
pattern.
do some of this stuff properly, they shouldn't even have a computing device to begin with.
Well, you know how iPhones get hijacked and hacked. They're not really being hacked. People leave them open and logged in,
Yeah.
and they are logged into several of their apps permanently.
And
All it takes is for somebody to just take the phone out of your hand or pick it up if you set it down somewhere, and that phone is still on, it's still open, and they are in 3 seconds, and they're into everything.
Jim, you're trying to get, yes?
Yeah, Jim.
and most of the people I know like this have Apple devices.
And
And I think they're relying on the security of the Apple device to protect them.
Yes. And they because they usually go along the line, they don't want to be bothered with the technology and the technical aspects. They just want to get it done.
Right.
And that's part of what makes Apple products so much better and easier to use, is because they don't have to worry about the tech. They just want it to happen.
But
they need to be more aware of the stuff that Bob was talking about.
The thing is, like Bob is bringing up here, as long as that device is logged in when you have it lost or stolen, they have total access. If you are logged out of your device, an Apple device, then somebody has to break it in. 3 tries and you're out. They wipe the device.
What Jim and I are trying to reflect to is that they own like an iPhone or something like that, and they propagate that thinking to a PC. They don't want to, if they own a PC, they use a PC for whatever reason. They don't own a Mac, but they have iPhones. They're used to the way the iPhones work. They just want a PC to work like an iPhone does. You turn it on, I get in, no problem. That's all they care. So saying that they shouldn't own one is the wrong thing to say to somebody like that.
No, I'm asking the question.
To be able to own a computer and not have to worry about it. Unluckily, those people with nefarious intentions out there are the ones that are going to prevail.
I'm asking the question why they have it in the first place, because there is a certain amount of responsibility you, the owner, must do, or you are in jeopardy. And if something bad does happen, and it's happening more and more, tough luck. Most entities out there, government or the technical corporations, etc., they can't do a damn thing for you. Whatever you lost, you can't get back.
Right. Jim, you were going to say?
I think that's true. I think that there are the folks who have the sort of Apple mindset, and they need to, there probably needs to be more done to make them aware of the things that Bob Primack was bringing up.
Right.
There are situations that you can get yourself into that somebody can get past the Apple stuff, and you ought to know what those are. Now, my wife has a MacBook. It never leaves the house. So in a sense, that's pretty safe as long as, nobody walks off with it out of my house. But that's the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah, but when you're online, anything can happen.
That's true too.
Very true. Okay, so we go to a new direction. New question, new direction.
Well, I have
okay.
a statement for you.
Yes, a statement.
Okay, and it's pretty much a similar topic, and that's about credit cards, debit cards, things like that. People feel that they're safe with their thing in their purse or their pocket, and they're not. If they don't have the proper type of coverage on in their wallet or their purse, no, I don't carry one, but the female does. People can walk by and scan the card. You feel like it's safe, and you get walked past, the card is scanned. They have all the information they want. They could be using it.
Do you know of anybody this has happened to?
You're talking to one.
You've had your credit card ID information stolen as it was in your pocket?
3 times.
Wow. Where the heck are you going?
It happened in an Aldi store.
Yeah. You can be in a store checkout lane, and the next person might be close enough to you because they don't have a cart. They only have a few items in their hands, and they have a scanner, and they can pick up the code real quickly in an unprotected wallet or purse.
Wow. Tom, were you able to figure out when this happened?
Yes. I caught it every time I get the bill. I look at everything I paid for, everything I bought. I catch it at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So I interact with the bank, tell them about it, cancel the card, get a new one, and I tell them about the fraudulent purchase, and it's cleared.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a problem. Since then,
really?
I found. Well, the first thing I found was there's little what would you call it? Little not pamphlets, but little basically little envelopes that you can get to slip the cards into, and then put it into your wallet, and they're protected that way. Since then, I've bought new wallets that have the
the same type of thing, the encasement that you can slide the cards into. That have the same.
What Tom is talking about is called a Faraday cage. And there is also a grid form of it that can be made into a screen. And usually the people who make these wallets charge way too much money for it. And these little envelopes cost like about $6 for, is it $6 for 5 of them, or is it $6 each? But they're pretty expensive.
I think I got 10 of them for about $5.
Okay. Well, then they aren't terribly expensive, but the question is, do you feel that you are personally enough at risk so that it's worth the investment? Personally, I've never had anything happen through the wallet. I've had other things happen.
Well, it got to me 3 times, so it was worth the risk. And since then, I even bought instead of a 3-fold wallet, I got into a very thin one that you put into your shirt pocket if you wanted, and it had the what was the coverage that you're talking about? The grid wallet?
The Faraday cage.
The Faraday
It's
cage.
also known as a screen or a grid.
Yeah, it had that built into it.
Yeah.
So, I picked out the right thing, did it that way. So I still have some of those envelope type things, but I don't need them anymore. And I gave them to brothers and sisters.
Or the kind of Mylar that's got a thin layer of aluminum in it would work just as well.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing. But it surprised me, but I caught it right away, because it happens in the middle of the month. When I pay complete every month, I see that it happened.
Like I say, I don't know where you've been shopping. I shop all kinds of places, but I don't shop in the city neighborhoods. And there are certain places, even outside of the city, where I just simply don't do my shopping. But I go to all the grocery stores and the discount stores. I don't go to the dollar stores, but every place else. And I don't go to the membership stores like Costco.
It had all happened at an Aldi's store, just south of LaGrange.
I think I know which Aldi store that is, and that's in an area where, there's some people who would do that.
Well, what can I say? I caught it in time, so it's all covered, and figured out how to get around it.
How close does somebody have to be to you just to grab that information from your credit card?
2 or 3 feet.
2 or 3, about 3 feet. Okay.
Less than a meter.
Yeah,
which is about a yard.
Some people pull their cart by their front. They could be scanning you while they're pulling their cart, with the other arm.
And another thing is, especially in checkout lines, is somebody who's got their smartphone and they're using it. They may have a camera app that does infrared, and if you punch in your PIN number, they may be able to pick up what digits you hit and figure out your PIN number.
Yeah, I don't use my PIN at checkout.
Yeah. Well, these are the things you have to watch. You have to watch out for, and that's
part of the problem with cash.
There's also, especially at gas pumps and ATMs, you got to watch out for skimmers. They are getting even better and better at both hiding them, and they're getting smaller, slender, and harder to detect unless you know what the heck you're looking for. And all you have to do is stick in your card, and they've got all the information.
I hardly ever buy gas anymore now that I have a plug-in hybrid.
Bob, you got rid of your Prius?
I am no longer doing the 2010 Prius, which didn't plug in. Right. I have a 2020 Prius Prime, which is a plug-in. Nice. And I have a ChargePoint account, and they use a card that the ChargePoint charging station will scan. I don't know whether there's something inside of it or whether they're scanning the little code on the card, but you just put it where the tap where the tap to pay would go.
Right.
And it's a card they provide. My phone doesn't do tap to pay. And by the way, tap to pay is another risk. That is near field communication, and that can be intercepted.
Oh, gee. I haven't taken the card out. I've always tapped it because I figured they couldn't get it if I did that.
A tap card is vulnerable.
Yes, and also more and more I'm reading articles that say, hey, it's been a known problem that if you use a key fob on your car, there are more and more people with the necessary equipment to pick up that code and know exactly what it is and can artificially activate your car just as if they actually had your fob. So you could leave your car parked in a parking lot, go into a store, and come out with no car.
That's a bummer. Okay, this is all doom and gloom here.
No, it's fact. It's fact. It's reality.
Well, shouldn't have that problem.
You know how people used to have these scanners that could pick up your garage door code,
right?
And then they could open your garage. It's the same principle.
Yeah.
The hardware and the software are open source. So anybody can get their hands on the code, anybody can get their hands on the hardware, and they can build it and rebuild it to suit their needs.
All right, so we're not supposed to go anywhere. We're not supposed to buy anything. We're not supposed to pick up our phone. We're not supposed to own a computer.
You're not supposed to breathe.
I just
no breathing, no cheating.
Advanced technology, that's what it is.
They can hack your car too, so they can take care of that.
Yeah.
Some cars more so than others. There are some cars that it really is very difficult to hack that.
Oh, was it Hyundai's the one they can start the car with a USB cable, right?
Well, that's a Hyundai and what's the other one?
Kia.
Kia.
Kia and Hyundai were vulnerable. Kia and Hyundai had specific vulnerabilities.
Well, they used keys. They had a key and they would break the thing out, open, use a screwdriver.
Right. Or
they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that. There were codes that were being circulated on the black market.
Well, a long time ago, when my summer job was to be a mechanic when I was in college, and when people got locked out, I could use a coat hanger to unlock their door.
Yeah, that doesn't work anymore.
Well, I'm sure it doesn't, but I mean, they advanced it, so now you can use a little radio wave to open up cars.
Slim Jims still work, though.
Slim Jims still work.
Yeah, they will. But the point is, if somebody wants it, they'll get it. But
that's right. If they want it, they'll get it. They're going to find a way. And
but you can find ways to make it more difficult.
Those of us that are honest try to find a way to do it the honest way, and those that aren't, they seem to get a thrill out of stealing from everybody else and don't care.
They'll find a way.
They don't care about the pain. I'm ready for one last question for the evening. Please give us a question or a topic. Do we have any topics for next month? Anybody want to do a presentation for next month? Beata, would you like to do a presentation next month?
We can do book evening. No.
Somebody just left. They were like,
Terry.
"Oh no, I'm not getting called on." So no topics, no conversations, nothing. I will. I guess since that's going to be it, I will end our evening and our recording. And
recording